think you kept coming back to the solution, so what kind of a solution could you put in place to better handle that? And that led him to another solution. So that repetition of what could you do and what else could you do and how about this aspect is really important. Similar point to what I was saying to Mike, just that checking in, reminding yourself of what he wanted, what he said initially. He wanted a quieter week next week.
Yes.
Might have, allowed you to go into that space. Okay, you've got some longer term strategies there. They look like they're great. What could you do that would help you next week? And you might mention, you talked about making meetings shorter or, scheduling stuff into weeks further on or that kind
Mm.
of thing. Some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah. And that's a fair comment. And there is that balance to make as a coach is how deep do you go into this and whether that's something to revisit in a follow-up conversation and to focus on that alone because it is a big area, right?
Mm.
Several conversations. It will be a big topic for anyone who you're responsible for who has a team as well. I mean, the delegation piece is a common thread for all leaders to learn to manage better because there's that guilt of, well, they've already got plenty on their plate. I can't give them any more. That's one question. That's one conversation you could have. What's the better conversation? How can you help them prioritize what they're doing and whether they're growing their people to unlock time for themselves, right? And it cascades. So, yeah, but fair comment. Absolutely. It really depends. And that's precisely like giving you that topic to explore always surfaces the bigger issues for us, right? And where we're not able to honor our values. And so this is a practice session. You would have probably a full hour if you wanted. You can see how you could fill a full hour now just on that topic alone for somebody, and they may not come into it thinking it's going to take that long. So in terms of how much do you stay on this topic, that's for you and your coachee to decide what's most useful. The important thing is that you're both feeling like you're gaining traction or that there's, for Nanza, there's a shift. He's able to implement things and he's getting wins from the changes that he's put in place. The accountability is, you check in your next conversation. How are you getting on with putting those actions into place? Have you had some success? What does that look like? How can we build on it? And also to the point about, what are we discussing in terms of the agenda from one session to the next? That's for the two of you to kind of go, you as the coach to invite them. What do you want to talk about? But also there may be some contextual stuff, a project or a program they're currently on and how that needs to play out for them and how to use their time. So you might not, you can see that we went from looking at your calendar to actually dealing with the value and relationships and being perceived a certain way. That would lead you to another topic potentially. Where else does that play out for you, where you feel like you have to be dependable and it's impacting either your stress levels or your workload and so on? So you could extend it that way. Or you might go, they might actually express to you, I'm good with that. I'm in a good place with it. I need some time for things to play out that I put in motion. And they might bring something else to the table, or you might suggest something that you think is particularly pertinent to them for now.